we're the only ones who get presents. Could I invite the Alliance Party, I think it is, get in. Can you go and get my present? Yes.
Good afternoon. For those of you who thought the Alliance Party was dead and buried, I'd like to introduce Dennis O'Connor, Mike Newlove, myself, Kevin Campbell, living examples of the fact that it's well and alive and well. As Professor Jim Flynn, one of our stalwart members, said of us at a conference some time ago, we're a party in waiting. Good things take time, of course. Thank you for, they're just speaking notes that are going round. Apologise they weren't out before, but it might just help you with focusing on our points. You will recall in the written or the online submission we talked about KiwiBank. Well, firstly, may I say about the 10-minute thing, we respect it, but we want to make the point that 10 minutes time limits may be appropriate at the end of a meaningful consultation process. They are not appropriate at the beginning of a process. KiwiBank was on our online submission, and we're not trying to score political points about that at all, but I think we do have the right to raise the issue about KiwiBank because the author of your report that I think you rely on in terms of selling the assets, obviously selling the assets is our focus. We just ask you not to do it. We don't believe the people want it. We don't think you have the mandate to do it. So our submission is purely confined to that. But the Cameron report spoke against and didn't recommend the sale of KiwiBank, or the creation of KiwiBank. Good sense prevailed, and the Labor Party, who was the dominant coalition partner, of course, did come along with that. I want to say that KiwiBank was a key election slogan for the Alliance, and if you're looking for votes, if that's just the motivation, then I'd say that having our assets is a great thing for you to consider because it certainly worked for the Alliance. People do want to own assets. They do want ownership of their own property and they want to retain it. Just a couple of things from the Cameron report that we're concerned about, that it says that the core business is to provide, of the council, is to provide services rather than own assets for financial returns. We say, the Alliance says, the core business of elected representatives is to serve the people. That involves listening to them, responding to their needs, and be attentive to what they say, protecting their interests. The Cameron report says the main reason for the council retaining ownership of assets is to control them so that it can pursue objectives that may not maximise their value but provide non-financial benefits. Again, we say the core business of the council is to serve the people, to guard their assets and to be good stewards of them. Cameron says or asks, can council objectives in retaining ownership of its assets be met through regulation or policy? And says in relation to various options for changing asset ownership while meeting council's strategic objectives, says council can achieve strategic aims through contractual arrangements. And we say, what of the TPPA? Does council, or more to the point, does the authors of the Cameron report know the secret terms of the TPPA? Has the council budgeted or insured for paying compensation ordered by an investor state tribunal, not in New Zealand, overseas, if an overseas provider can't compete favourably for council services in Christchurch because of council, quote, Cameron regulation or policy? We've got a $6 million gift, so-called, to a Saudi or a businessman at the moment. Maybe the council might be having to pay a gift to some overseas investor if we have policies or regulations that don't suit them. I doubt whether the present Saudi thing is a gift, but anyhow, providing services through providing public services through, as quote from Cameron, contractual arrangements could well apply to central government. For example, the health services could be provided through contractual arrangements. Well, I think both the major parties in the last few decades have sort of thought about that possibility, but it isn't a very good idea because people don't want it. There are deeper analyses of the reports. COA, I ask you to support them. COA is the Keep Our Assets Association. I'd ask you to respect them as a voice, a legitimate voice of the people. They've got limited resources. They're doing good work. I think you're going to hear them later in the week. People are disillusioned with politicians. They don't trust them. They just think they'll do whatever they want. It's a group like COA and others that come and do take the effort to get some semblance of community voice. So I ask you to respect them. We say we adopt their points and their analyses. I think the council should have an answer to the question is, have asset sales sold, selling assets worked before in government, central or local? We're well aware of the Douglas plan to sell off the assets of our country in the 80s. 3/4 of the assets were sold to get rid of debt. When 3/4 of the assets were sold, our debt doubled. So I'd ask the council, what is so special about the city council assets that's going to alter the result of that for us? What budget plan have you got to replace the income from assets sold? Is it a good time to sell, for example, the Littleton port? Coal prices dropping. I'm not an accountant. I've got it in brackets, so it's very much in brackets. I'm not an economist. I used to be a policeman. You know, I arrested people for selling other people's assets. In Turkey, there was a minister that got locked up for it. In New Zealand, we haven't even been charged, some of them. But anyhow, alternatives. There's got to be alternatives. You're in a better position than we are. We support the others. I think you might see Dennis later in the week from the Spraydon Neighbourhood Network, their ideas. We thank those councillors here who have got a common sense plan. We don't want the sale of any assets, but we're grateful that you've taken a stand in that regard. But, you know, just some of the possibilities. You know, the government promise, we talk about this core sharing agreement. You know, is it been honoured? Has it been honoured? We've got very unique legislation in New Zealand, probably in the world, the SARA legislation. I've read that as a lawyer. I'm a lawyer by trade. You know, I think there's something in there about the CEO of SARA could actually compel people to actually come together to discuss and come to an agreement about neighbouring properties. It's extensive legislation. The whole purpose of it is for the recovery of Canterbury. Could not the council, maybe your legal advisors will be able to tell you this, you know, is there something in there that cost-sharing agreement could be re-looked at, that could be honoured, that because the purpose of that legislation, we've only got it for a short term, but its very purpose is the recovery of Christchurch. The insurance covers, are they fully paid out? Are they honoured? Whose fault was it? Things like that to look at. The rate increases, we've been through those. I mean, I think a lot of people would rather some who can afford would pay increases rather than sell assets. Some innovation ideas, keep our assets bonds. I know you've got legislative restraints on borrowing, you know, I realise that, but maybe there's some people in Christchurch that would be prepared to lend some money to the council at a lower interest rate than commercial rates, rather than have their assets sold. Create new commercial activities. Where Mr Lonsdale, I see, councillor, they're wanting to, he took the initiative with a container city, great, and you know, you want the new inner city built up. We've got shopping malls right throughout the city. I made a submission myself, it's gone and nowhere, I don't think, and that's fine, but I suggested maybe the council, we could have our mall in the city, our mall, and could be owned and controlled by the council. Commercial activity, but the small business people in Christchurch who want people in the city, have it in our mall, and don't pay exorbitant rents to overseas landlords over in the city, in the suburban malls. Things like that. Delay. I heard the manufacturing man sitting here said it's a rainy day today. I say to you, delay is not a harmful thing. Learn from nature. Autumn and winter, they're not there forever. Spring and summer always follow. This is not a good time. I said I'm not an economist. I know that economic cycles come and go. Mr. Councillor there is an economist, no doubt. They come and go. So do the seasons. Bad times come and go. Don't sell off at a bad time. People's choice, have they got a choice? Have they been given a choice? Have they fairly been given a choice? We say, in conclusion, those who made it, thank you for that. Honour your pledge, I'm sure you will. Be stewards and servants, be attentive to what the people are saying, and work in the people's best interest. Do not be afraid to stand against the pressure to sell assets. Kia kaha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's 10 minutes, so
I think we timed it pretty well.
yeah.
We're respecting the time.
You are very good.
Worship.
Thank you very much.
If there's any
You didn't
questions-
call me Madam Mayor, I like you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. If there's any, that's fine. If you've got...
Yep, thank you very much.
All right.
Cheers. And now